The gentleman from Texas is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield myself such time as I may consume.
Gentleman is recognized.
Thank you. In the 1980s, as Chairman Nadler has said, Congress enacted harsh penalties for federal drug offenses, including mandatory minimum sentences. In that 1986 act, the Anti-Drug Abuse Act, it did create a 100-to-1 sentencing disparity between crack and powder cocaine, meaning an individual convicted of selling 5 grams of crack cocaine would receive the same sentence as someone convicted of selling 500 grams of powder cocaine. Earlier, years ago, Representative Dan Lundgren, who had been here in the 80s, in 1986 when this was passed, said that Republicans were told in 1986 with the Democratic majority by Representative Charlie Rangel that if they did not support the huge disparity, then they did not care about black neighborhoods and the scourge that crack cocaine was creating and ruining in black neighborhoods. So it easily passed because in '86, no one wanted to be called a racist. This law contributed to the growth of the U.S. federal prison population from the 1990s through 2000s. In 2010, Congress passed the Fair Sentencing Act, which reduced the sentencing disparity between crack and powder cocaine from 100-to-1 to 18-to-1. And as I recall, at that time, I thought it would be good to go 1-to-1. That's what we did in Texas when I was a judge. But if I recall correctly, there were some Republicans that said we can't go all the way to 1-to-1, but we'll agree to 18-to-1. If that's not right, Chair can correct, but that's what I recall because I didn't see why we didn't go ahead and go 1-to-1 back then and just fix it. But that was what happened. It went from 100-to-1 to 18-to-1 disparity. But in 2018, Congress passed, President Trump signed the First Step Act, which made the Fair Sentencing Act retroactive. This law allowed those sentenced for federal drug offenses relating to cocaine prior to the passage of Fair Sentencing Act to move for a resentencing under the new law. But the Equal Act before us today truly lives up to the name of equalizing sentences for similar crimes and would eliminate the federal sentencing disparity between crack and powder cocaine and allow those convicted under the prior law to move for resentencing under this new standard. At the state level, more than 40 states do not treat crack and powder cocaine differently in their sentencing structures. Passage of the Equal Act now would align federal sentencing laws with the vast majority of states. And I would like to also say, in a prior hearing, Mr. Jeffries indicated that he intended to go forward and would try to push a bill, as the chair also had hoped, that would finally eliminate the sentencing disparity and go 1-to-1. In that hearing, I made the comment that if Mr. Jeffries would draft a bill that did just that, then I would support that. And I am very pleased that Mr. Jeffries was a man of his word. He did exactly what he said. He prepared a bill that fixed this problem. And I am pleased to agree and to be part of what Mr. Jeffries prepared and what the chairman has seen through our committee, and glad we are finally going to deal with this problem and do right by the people that are sentenced under it. And with that, I'll reserve the rest of my time.
The gentleman reserves.